What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Fire Academy. Now, some of you that might be watching this might be brand new to the fire service and have no idea what a Fire Academy is or what it entails. Some of you might be part-timers or volunteers and you haven't quite yet gone through. Some of you have already gone through a Fire Academy, and if you have, write down your comments below, some things that you experienced, what you think about this video, what it was like for you, maybe some tips that you have for other people that haven't gone through yet. But in this video, I want to touch on what you can expect, what you'll learn, how to prepare, and just some tips that I can give you as someone that has gone through the Fire Academy and knows and spends time daily with a lot of other people that have gone through the Fire Academy of things that you can do to make yourself stand out and succeed. So if you find this helpful and you like this kind of content, click the thumbs up below. You guys have been great. You guys have been very responsive, so I appreciate you guys being so responsive, and I'll keep making content like this. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is what you can expect in the Fire Academy. Now, there's three different types of Fire Academies out there. The first one is, I call them private academies, even though technically they're not really private academies. It's the type of place that I went to. So one of the local community colleges here where I work, a lot of the smaller departments will require you to have your firefighter certifications before you even apply. But this is just done through a local community college. It's not affiliated with any department or any particular group. You just go through, you pay your own way, and you do the academy, and you come out and you have your certifications. The second one is online academies. Now, those are just what they sound like. Most of your academics and schoolwork is done online, remotely from wherever you are. And then you take a week or two and you travel to wherever it is that this particular online academy is located, and that's where you'll do your actual qualifications, your physical testing, all of those types of things to make sure you can actually do the job as well. And then the third type are city-owned academies or department-owned academies. This is typically with larger academies. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, Cleveland, all of these larger departments have their own academies that they will send you to where you get all your certifications and you go from there. Now, there's pluses and minuses to each of them. For example, the city-owned academy, the plus is that you don't have to pay for anything. You go through the whole hiring process, and if they decide to hire you, then you just go through. The reason they do that is because they want to be the ones to train you, and they want things to be taught and that you learn to do things the way that they want them done. Positive, you don't pay a dime. Online academies, you can do it from the comfort of your own home. The downside to online academies, and I really wouldn't recommend them, to be totally honest, I would recommend that your first choice would be to try and find an academy nearby you. If for some reason you can't, then I guess an online academy will do. But the downside is, and I'll talk about this more towards the end, this is an opportunity for you to get around other firefighters and other potential employers or coworkers. And so when most of your academics are just going to be in front of a computer, that doesn't give you the opportunity. Firefighting is a small group. So the more chance you have to get up to know other firefighters and be around them and speak to them, the better it will be for you. So, but that is an option if that's something that you don't have. And then the private academies, the pluses and minuses. The minuses, you got to pay for it on your own. The plus, especially where I live, there's a lot of smaller departments. Well, the instructors at these academies are from all these different departments. So if you show up at the academy and you stand out and there's 20 different departments in your area, well, there's 20 different ins at each of these departments, assuming you did well and they liked you. So there's pluses and minuses to either. Look up, and speaking of look up, on firefighternow.com, I have a list of every fire academy in the United States and Canada. Just go to firefighternow.com. It'll be one of the top articles up there. And take a look around Firefighter Now. There's some other stuff on there that you might find useful and helpful. And that will give you a lot more information as far as what are the closest academies near you. So let's talk about let's talk about the costs. If you are not going through a city-owned academy or a department-owned academy, you're going to have to pay something out of pocket. Usually the tuition floats, and again, this varies greatly from academy to academy. It floats around between $5,000 and $10,000. Now, the intricacies of can you use school loans and things like that I don't know. You'd have to check with that individual academy that you're interested in. But there's also some other hidden costs. They might require you to rent gear if you don't already have gear. There's going to be books. There might be other small things. Some might require you to have some sort of insurance in case you get hurt or something like that. But again, I would talk to whatever specific academy you're interested in looking at going to and talk to them about all the costs. They should be very forthcoming with you about that kind of stuff. How long will it take? So fire academies can take anywhere from a few weeks to several months. It just depends. Some of them will have accelerated programs. I believe when I went through, they had an accelerated program for 6 weeks, and then they had a 12-week, and then they had, or maybe a 10-week, and then a full semester long fire academy. Everyone's a little bit different. Most of the city departments will be several months, maybe 3, 4, 6 months, something like that. But it shouldn't take you more than a year to get your firefighter certifications. This is going to be a different kind of environment. If you're in the military, you have a leg up on everybody. This is going to be a very disciplined environment. Now, it's going to be more, usually it's going to be more paramilitary-like than it will be when you get on the actual fire department, but they want to instill discipline. Some fire academies out there will teach you how to march, and they make things very ceremonial and very disciplined, and you show up and you do this and you do that and very regimented. The fire academy I went to wasn't as much like that, but there was definitely still a lot of that there, far more than it is on the actual department I'm on now. So just know that this is going to be a little bit different of an environment. If you were in the military, you already know what I'm talking about, so you'll do fine there. And then last, this is going to be a blend of academics and hands-on. And I'll talk about 2 books that would be good for you to get ahead of time, and I'll put the links for them in the description below. But you're going to be required to, in the morning or afternoon, everybody has it scheduled differently, spend some classroom time, but then also go out onto the drill ground or the fire ground and do things. So if you're thinking this is just going to be an opportunity to just sit in a classroom and just get a certification, it's not going to be that. Or conversely, if you think this is just going to be all spraying water and breaking windows, you're going to have to do some studying. You're going to have to do some reading as well. So just know that going into this. So let's talk about what you're going to learn. Well, you're obviously going to get your firefighter certification. Every state does it a little bit differently. What I can tell you is in Ohio, there's different levels of firefighter certifications, and the most common are Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2. Firefighter 2 is, I think, 240, or I think it's 260 hours now. Firefighter 1, I think, is like 120 or 130 hours. You learn generally the same stuff. There's more stuff, obviously, in a Firefighter 2. It's a more advanced certification. But you going through this academy, you will do all the classes and the state mandated requirements to do that. Also on firefighternow.com, I have articles for each of the 50 different states of how to become a firefighter, and it talks about those differences in certifications. So wherever you are, just go to firefighternow.com. You'll be able to navigate your way through the site and find your way over there. You might also be learning some wildland firefighting skills. Now, where I work and live, we don't have wildland firefighters around here, at least not in Northeast Ohio in the Cleveland suburbs. That's not a thing. If you live out in California or Oregon or Washington or Arizona or Colorado, you're probably going to be focusing quite a bit on wildland, just because wildland fires are a big thing out there. EMT. Now, my fire academy, we did not do an EMT program. That was a separate track at the same school, and you had to do that separately. But I have heard of fire academies that will get you your EMT basic certification along the way. Now, I believe all of them touch on, you have to get your BLS, which stands for Basic Life Support, essentially a CPR class. And that's what we did in ours. But some of them, you might have to learn some basic medical stuff, because even if you work in a city that doesn't do EMS, you might have to first respond for car accidents and things like that. Hazmat. You'll touch on hazardous materials stuff. Now, I will warn you, hazmat is its own little niche industry. Some of those guys really nerd out on hazmat. It's also jokingly referred to as the most boring part of the academy. You learn, there's a ton to learn there, and it's extremely important, but it's going to be a lot of classroom time and some pretty basic drills. Ropes and knots. You will be required to do a lot with ropes and knots. In fact, I'm working on a video now going over knots. I've never been good with ropes, so I'm going to be teaching this, but also as a way to kind of refresh myself on basic knots and different stuff about ropes. In my fire academy, we even did a little bit of a rappelling class. We just went up to the top of the hose tower and we just kind of rappelled down. You may or may not do that, but I promise you, you will have to learn a lot about knots, which ones, how to tie them, which ones are best for certain situations, and the different types of ropes available for you and for rescue situations. You're going to go over pump and ladder operations. So if you're really new, and I won't focus on this in this video, there's a difference between a fire engine and a fire truck. An engine sprays water, a truck has ladders on it. They have two different functions. They do two different things. That's a really overgeneralization explanation of what that is. You'll have to learn pump operations or engine operations, and you'll probably go over truck and ladder operations as well. Like I said, they work hand in hand on a fire scene, but you're going to have to touch on both of those things. You're going to learn about basic fire science and building construction. And again, I'll talk about the books below here. I have them listed out here that you might want to look at or purchase ahead of time to refresh yourself. These are going to be really, really important things for you going forward. This is why people that have a background in the trades or carpentry or something like that will really excel when it comes to building construction and stuff like that. What else? Forcible entry. This usually has a lot to do with ladder companies or truck companies. Forcible entry is kind of what it sounds like, how to break into someplace. Cutting stuff, well, cutting stuff's a little bit different, but yeah, how to force a door. It's a little bit different. You'll probably go over vehicle extrication, how to cut up a car and the proper points for doing that. So just know that that's coming. RIT training. If you're not familiar with what a RIT team is, it stands for Rapid Intervention Team. Essentially, they're the people that are on standby at a fire scene that in case a firefighter goes down, their job is to go find them and bring them out. It has their own, they have a few pieces of their own specific gear that they use, and they have very specific training and things that they do to get people out safely. So you'll probably touch on a little bit of that as well. You'll also be expected to do some things that might make you uncomfortable. For example, if you're scared of heights or if heights make you uncomfortable, get ready, because they're going to make you go up ladders. What a lot of fire academies will make you do, and your department, if you get hired somewhere, will probably make you do it at some point, is they will get a ladder truck and they will put it all the way up and you will have to climb to the top. If heights aren't your thing, get over it. If you want to be a firefighter, you're going to have to learn how to get on ladders. So you're going to be doing a lot of ladder work. If you're claustrophobic and you don't like being in tight spaces, again, you're going to have to work through that. They're going to put you in some pretty tight spaces and some little obstacle course type things. They're probably going to black out your mask so that you can't see and you got to feel your way around. Also, they will probably at some point make you do something called a breathe down drill. If you're unfamiliar with what a breathe down drill is, they put the SCBA on you and you go on air. So you're hooked up to your tank and they make you do activities and you breathe down that entire bottle until that bottle is completely empty. And by completely empty, you will know because you will feel it starting to suck to your face and you won't be able to breathe. You're going to feel like you're suffocating because you're suffocating. Now, they won't let you die. They won't let anything bad happen to you. You're going to be fine. But it's really uncomfortable if you've never done that before because you're already tired because they make you do activity as you do this. And it's good for you to learn this because, first off, it tells you how in shape you are. The more in shape you are, the longer you can make a bottle last. But also, it gets you used to trying to be calm when you feel like you're running out of air. You will panic the first time it happens. It's very uncomfortable and it's very weird. But if you're in an actual fire, depending on the situation, if you take that mask off, you're probably going to die. So this trains you to get used to keeping that on, even when you don't have any air. It also gives you an idea to give you a feel for how long a bottle lasts. There's all sorts of indicators, and they'll go over that in the academy. But just know that that's something that's uncomfortable. You're probably going to be required to do it multiple times. So how can you best prepare? Well, number one, get fit. If you're not fit, you got to get in shape. Now, this is not Navy SEAL training by any means, so you don't have to be an Olympic triathlete. But if you're fat and out of shape, fix that, because this is going to be extremely difficult for you. Firefighting is deceivingly hard. Now, to some of you, you might say, well, there's nothing deceiving about that. Of course it's hard. It's very hot. It's very uncomfortable. You're wearing a ton of gear. You're breathing through a tube. And it's just far more physically demanding than I ever thought it was before I got into it. And what I would recommend to you is I made a video on just like the principles of firefighter fitness. I'll put it right here. Click that and make sure you watch that after you're done with this. That way you can have an idea of how you could start training. I'm also, at the time of making this video, in the middle of a 100 push-up a day, 30-day challenge. I invite you to go on this channel and find that and start tagging along. Now, there will be more fitness stuff coming, but if you're out of shape, get in shape. I can't stress that highly enough. Number two, you're going to be required to do some academics, and I have 2 books here. You don't have to get them both. The one I would recommend that you get is Firefighting Skills. It's actually actually the textbook that we used in my fire academy, and I thought it was really helpful. It gives you just kind of a general overview. Now, the other one is called Essentials of Firefighting, and I think the Essentials of Firefighting book is also a common textbook to use, but it's a little bit more expensive, so I would recommend the cheaper one at the Firefighting Skills book. You don't have to memorize this thing cover to cover. But if you are a few weeks to a few months out from your academy, I would recommend just getting it and sitting down and familiarizing yourself with all these things. They're going to be throwing a lot at you in a short period of time. So the most you know going into this, the best prepared you are, the better it will be for you. So I'll put the links in the description down below. So if that's something you at least want to look at or maybe grab a copy, you can do that. So what are some tips for success? As someone that has done this and as someone who spends a lot of time with and talks with a lot of people who have done this, there's some things I really want you to try and focus on. And the first and most important is change your perspective on this. If you're going into this and you're thinking like, okay, this is just something I have to do, I just have to get this over with, I just have to show up and pass, you have the wrong attitude. Look at this as an opportunity. So what I mean is, I'll give you the example of where I went. And I talked about this earlier in this video, is all of the instructors were officers or firefighters in all of the local departments. This is your chance to shine because everybody talks to everybody else. Firefighting is a very small group. I harp on that in this channel all the time, and I can't stress that enough. So if you show up and you are impressive, you do all your drills well, you show up on time and you're disciplined, you get good grades, they will remember that. And they all talk. So this is an opportunity for you to stand out. Conversely, if you go to one of the city academies, you're being trained by your coworkers. So if you're a jerk or you don't do well or you're lazy, nobody's going to want to work with you, and it's just going to make your time that much more difficult. So make sure you get your mind right. Look at this as an opportunity for you to jumpstart your career. Number 2 is prepare ahead of time. Like I talked about earlier, this is going to be a pretty disciplined environment, which means clear your schedule. If you know that you have a family vacation, an annual one that comes up and it's going to be on the 3rd week of this fire academy, either go to a different academy at a different time of the year or don't go to your vacation. It will be highly frowned upon if you start this academy knowing that you're going to be missing a week of it, because again, these aren't very long. This isn't a long time of schooling. You're learning a lot each day. So if you show up and say, hey, we do this family thing every year and, I'm just going to go to that, I'll be back next week, it's not going to be received well. Make sure you're prepared. Read over the stuff in that book that I talked about. Again, you don't have to memorize it, but just familiarize yourself with it and make sure you're ready to go. Get fit. I already talked about that. I remember there were some guys in my class that were not fit at all. And it did not reflect well on them. They couldn't keep up with the rest of the class, and it was pretty bad. So I can't stress that enough. Make sure you're in shape going into this. And then the last one is stay calm. I talked about earlier how you're going to be expected to do some things you might be uncomfortable with. When you do those things, especially, it's not like people, that's a day-to-day thing, right? You don't normally just go on air and just breathe down till you suffocate. You don't purposely suffocate yourself. It's going to feel weird and you're going to panic. Stay calm. Same thing with if you're claustrophobic and you're in a tight, dark space, just stay calm. These are all professional instructors. They're not going to let you die. They're not going to let you get hurt. You're going to be doing some live fire training. If you've never really been in there and it's getting really hot and you feel like you're getting burned, just stay calm. They're not going to let you get hurt. There was a guy in my class that during one drill, he must have been claustrophobic or something, but he freaked out. I mean, he really lost it. And it was a bad look for him. Like I said, all the instructors were guys in different departments. So don't be that person. Just stay calm. They're not going to let you get hurt. So I hope you found this helpful. If you're getting ready to go to a fire academy, let me know. Click the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.